To be a refugee is the hardest things in anybody's life. And why we are refugee is not a choice. We're forced to be a refugee.
This film is a project of Lewisham Refugee Network for the Refugee Week celebration. It aims to raise people's awareness on the lives some of the refugees have had back in their country and here in England. The people we interviewed talked about their loss and their sadness, the joy of being provided sanctuary, the struggles they faced in rebuilding their lives, and the hopes and aspirations not only for themselves but also for their families. For various reasons, some of the participants didn't want their faces to be shown, and we have respected their wish. Thank you for watching it.
I was one of the white farmers up in the north of Zimbabwe, northeast in fact. My farm was Keith farm, and there was a knock on the door at 12 o'clock at night. The police came and arrested me. I don't know what happened. I was unconscious for 3 months. When I came to, they took over the farms. They pushed me out the country. I was put on a plane and sent here to England.
I thought it was because the Chinese said we weren't Chinese and the Vietnamese said we were Chinese.
My parents decided to go to a new country, and as a result they sold everything that we had in Vietnam, and we took a journey on a bus to a port and boarded a boat. We had a little area at the near the engine room, and there were lots and lots of people also making the same journey, and it took us a long time to get to Hong Kong. We got to England by flight. It was all very exciting for me because my parents had told me a lot of good things about England.
So if we came from our own country, there's the rich life, the good life. Probably I had the good life. I had my own vehicle, I had my own house. I had 2 houses there. So I don't have any problem. I got the good salary. So I lived in peace, but some reason, political reason, and the civil war mainly. The civil war compelled me to leave the country. So I left the country just to protect my life and my family.
But it happened that there's a war in our country where there's this, I don't know, it's either political or tribalism or clan fighting.
I didn't know what I was going to do, but they allowed me to stay on the condition that I worked. So my position was precarious in that I didn't know from one day to the next whether I was going to have work, and also not knowing where I was going to get my next daily bread or where I was going to stay or anything.
and we moved to our home, which was then in Birkenhead. But unfortunately, in Birkenhead, it wasn't as nice as it was in Cheshire, because we suffered a lot of racism up there. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I don't remember it being slightly younger, it was still quite a pleasant memory for me. So it was still just going to school, making friends, playing, and yeah. So when we had to move, it was just another adventure. It wasn't a hardship. But maybe we'd gotten used to it by that time, hey?
Yeah. Yeah. But I went to a different school, which was a lot further, and my journey had to be taken on a bus, and that meant walking through the estate and getting on the bus and doing the same again in the evening. And on that journey, sometimes like the children, they would spit at us or call us names, and it wasn't very pleasant to be walking when there's that kind of thing going on. So and then in our homes as well, on most evenings we would have our windows smashed. So we have like big car parts and bricks and things like that. So eventually the council, they got so fed up they didn't even bother fixing our windows anymore, because straight after it would get smashed. And for some time we even had a policeman patrolling outside the house, didn't we?
Yeah.
Walking up and down, just like 10 Downing Street it was.
Yeah.
And felt so privileged.
Yeah.
But even that didn't stop the abuse that we had.
After I'd started working and managed to get myself going, was alright until a year and a half back, when I lost my job with the people that I was working with, because I became disabled through the wrong safety equipment. All I was living on was my disability allowance, which was only £55 a week at that time. Now I was in fear that they might throw me out the country.
Yes, we came, we get the safety, we have houses, we live in a comfortable life, but there's something that we'll never have it. A home. Home belongs to us. A place I call my home, my country, where I'm surrounded with my people I love, I grow up. A dream, I dreamed my life. To be to be educated, to speak my language, to talk to my children, to understand. If anybody thinks that refugees, they are here comfortable, we are not. I still have nightmares, I still have fear, although I know nobody is coming to shoot me or to kill me, but I'm just always carrying that fear. I don't feel safe, even in a safe country. I don't feel safe. And I know that nobody is going to kill my children. My children born here, grow up here. Who is going to be university, who is going to finish their GCSE, they are heading. But I'm afraid always that fear deep down is every single night. I will sleep, I'm afraid that something will happen, and I wake up in the morning and that fear every single night. To be a refugee, it means you are haunted by so many things, by the war.
And my parents couldn't find any work, and there wasn't anyone that they could speak to, because they didn't know much English. But for us children, we learnt really quick, didn't we? It just came in an instant.
Probably the best part of our lives, isn't it?
Yeah, and I just remembered, one day I couldn't read a book, and the next day, I was reading every single book. So it just was very, very easy.
Lots of happy memories growing up there, going to their local school, making loads of friends. Never really occurred not being able to speak the language or anything like that. But I think that's probably the privilege of being a child.
It's something I will never, ever, or pass it to my children. Language, songs, music, history, emotion. I can't give my children. We learn how to count at a younger age. How? We sit down around the tree. They ask us to all, to put our legs out and count it. There's songs I can't remember. When you lose a grandmother, you always have another grandmother replacing your mother. So, you know, they don't think if I lost, or if one of my friends lost her grandmother, we used to say, don't worry, your grandmother went up, but you can share me with my grandmother. They always say grandmother. I can't give my children that one. You know, we have the simplest food that nobody thinks, dates and milk. But that time here is something to us. We sit down around the tree and my grandmother telling us a story. I will never pass that to my children, historical. And I'm sure that story she told her, she learned it from her mother and mother from great mother, and we pass it. I can't pass that one. A whole history lost. I can't pass it to my children.
We don't know, about our culture as much as we do about the British culture, and as a result, I think we feel more British than Vietnamese, because particularly because when we go back to Vietnam, it's more like a holiday, and everything is seen, with the eyes of a person going on holiday, because it's so unfamiliar. So, for example, even the number of Vietnamese people that we saw, like the whole country, filled with Vietnamese people. I mean, even that was strange, because we're so used to seeing
white people.
White people and black people and more mixed people, and not so many Oriental people. And then even like hearing our language, that sounds funny to us as well, because it just sounds different. It's not like the same sound like we speak at home. And and it's also loud, and everyone just behaves differently. And I think in a way, like, even we behave differently. We live in London, so we're living in a rat race, and we look like we're sprinting all the time, whilst in Vietnam people are casually strolling.
To be a refugee, it means like a tree, you cut in it half, and that half travel, but the other half is stay in the root, stay on the soil, your roots. And that is, to be a refugee, that it means to me.
I've been back to Vietnam 7 times, so you can tell I really loved it. And the first time I went, I loved it so much I stayed there for 3 months, and I just wanted to learn everything about where I came from, because I have memories of where I came from, and I just wanted to see if they were the same, and to explore all the things that my parents couldn't tell me. Say, for example, like how different people look, and how different they would speak and cook and things like that. So just seeing different areas that they've told us about in stories, and just like seeing the my old school, and seeing my old house, and just going to see my old friends and things like that. Although I don't really remember them really now, but it's just good to to see all that, because I think it makes you feel like you came from somewhere, instead of being like suspended, because at that age, because you kind of feel kind of adrift, don't you? Because you kind of feel like you came from somewhere, but you don't know where.
Yeah, see, I don't feel like I belong anywhere.
That's what I mean. But when you go back home, then you can see where you came from, and know.
See, I've been back there once. I don't remember anybody. I don't remember anything.
The thing is, everyone needs a history, and everyone needs an anchor of to know what they are and where they come from, and why do they look the way they look, and why we behave the way we do. And I think for me, going back home puts that in
Really?
Yeah.
So you feel more Vietnamese then?
I couldn't live there, but I could definitely, take lots of holiday there, and enjoy, all the food that they have there.
It's not much of an anchor then, more of a
armband
float then, isn't it?
No, but it gives you
sponge floating
but it gives you a sense of like where you came from. I think that's important.
Yeah, but do you feel?
Yeah, like where you come from, which is really important. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't get that.
Don't you?
No.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah.
Because I always had growing up here, I always had questions in my mind, about, because about many things, like, say, for example, if someone were to make a comment about my skin colour or whatever, I'd say like, oh, what about other people in Vietnam? Are they like me? What are the other people, over there? What are they like? Because if you remember, in those days, obviously there's no internet and there's hardly any books in the library about Vietnam, and you know, obviously most people haven't travelled to Vietnam, so you know, you couldn't really ask anyone about, you know, any part of the country where you come from. And if you meet like other families who are refugees, they are from different areas of Vietnam, so they will tell you about the things, you know, where they came from, but it's not, you know, where you come from, so you know, you just don't have that connection.
Our children is a lost generation without a history. They love Britain. Every one of them, Britain is their home. Would you like to go home?